Hey guys, welcome to my latest video on the Bengals offense in 2020. We're going to be taking a dumpster dive into what we think the Bengals can be capable of offensively in 2020. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. It really helps my channel grow, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, the big news in the offseason for the Bengals was obviously Joe Burrow. And it really doesn't need to be said again, but Burrow was an elite quarterback last year. He showed off his arm talent, showed off his underrated mobility, his ability to get outside the pocket, make throws on the run, make throws in the pocket, just be a great leader for LSU. Take them to the national championship game, win the national championship game. He absolutely killed Oklahoma. I mean, he had one of the best college football seasons that anyone's ever had. So Burrow is really going to be the building block for this Bengals offense. He's going to be the guy that Zac Taylor is going to lean on to carry this Bengals offense into 2020 and for them to have success. If Joe Burrow doesn't have success in 2020, I doubt that the running back, Joe Mixon, doubt the wide receiving core or the tight ends on the roster will be good. I doubt the Bengals will be good just in general if Burrow does not succeed in 2020. Therefore, Joe Burrow's success next season is absolutely imperative. Also, another guy that success is absolutely imperative is Joe Mixon. Mixon is the running back, the main running back for the Bengals, and he is absolutely extraordinary. Extraordinary. Last year, I'm not going to say that O-line was horrendous, but that O-line definitely needed to improve. But Mixon was still stellar. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he was just a guy that the Bengals really leaned on. Expect for him to improve into next year, right? His fourth season in the NFL. I think the Bengals are really going to use him a lot. Also, as we know, young quarterbacks like to use their running backs. It takes pressure off them, allows Mixon to just pick up yards, and takes a little bit of stress off of Joe Burrow. I think Mixon's going to be a really, really useful tool for that Bengals offense to succeed. I'm absolutely going to love what Mixon's going to do this year. I think he's going to be absolutely excellent. Also, another important piece for the Bengals offense is that wide receiving core. That wide receiving core is going to be one of the better ones in the league if they are able to stay healthy. Obviously, headlined by AJ Green, he's a former Pro Bowler. I think he's made the Pro Bowl about 7 times. But throughout his career, he's really been injury prone, right? His last season was in 2018. He missed all of 2019 due to injury. And in 2018, he only played 9 games anyway. But when he's on his game, he is an elite receiver. He's an elite deep threat, as well as a guy that can go up there and catch the ball in the red zone. He's had 11 touchdowns in a season before in 2012 and 2013. And he's just an absolutely epic player. Burrow is going to love him in the red zone if Green is able to stay healthy. I think he could be that idea of a safety valve. I know it's not, AJ Green's not a tight end, but he's a really dependable player that Burrow is going to lean on to just throw the ball up there and get touchdowns, get receptions, pick up yards. And Green, as I said, when he's on his game, is one of the best receivers in the NFL. So watch out for him in 2020 if he's able to stay healthy. Also, Tyler Boyd is another guy. Boyd, in AJ Green's absence last year, was phenomenal. He had over 1,000 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. And Boyd is kind of just your dependable do-it-all receiver. He can catch the ball. He can run with the football after the catch. And he's just a guy that you can trust to just be a good player in your on your team. I think that's what the Bengals are really going to use him as. He's going to be the number 2 receiver there, and he's just going to be the guy that can pick up yards. He's going to be that good option. I mean, he had 90 catches last year. Burrow is going to be able to use him a lot. So I think he's a trusty guy that Burrow and Zac Taylor are really going to try and scheme around. Also, another guy that they picked up in the draft was T. Higgins, the first pick in the second round out of Clemson. Higgins is basically A.J. Green, younger and I guess less injury prone. Higgins is an elite jump ball receiver. At Clemson, he had 13 touchdowns last year. I mean, this guy was excellent. I thought he was a first-round talent. Didn't have the greatest pro day. That's probably why he dropped off a little bit. But in that Bengals offense, I think him and AJ Green are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the red zone. It's going to make that Bengals offense highly electric when it gets inside 20 yards from the end zone. I think Higgins is just going to be absolutely awesome to pair next to AJ Green. And you know what? If AJ Green goes down with injury, I could see Higgins have a similar production to A.J. Green has had in the past. Also, they do have John Ross, who was a former first-round pick. Yes, he hasn't really played to that first-round pick, to his first-round pick, former self. But last season, he played really well at the beginning of the year, and got injured a little bit, really just losing all of that stuff he was doing really well. Ross is a speed demon. He's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And if he can get going, he could just take the top off that defense for Burrow, open up the field, allow the field to just open up to get Burrow to throw to his wide receivers, his tight end, use Joe Mixon. He just opens the field up, and it's going to really help Burrow in that offense. Also, tight end wise, CJ Uzomah is not my favorite tight end in the NFL. He's more or less just an average to below average tight end, but he had 27 catches for 242 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. He's not a big red zone threat. I don't think he's really going to be a difference maker for Burrow, but he's just going to be another guy that Burrow can count on. And I think Uzomah, he's been in the league for, I think, 5 years at this point. So I think he's going to be just an excellent guy to have there, a veteran guy who can make an impact on that team. You know, they lost Tyler Eifert, so Uzomah is really going to step up into that starting role and just be a real difference maker for Burrow. However, when it comes to the offensive line, I'm worried. I'm really worried about this offensive line. I'm not going to say that the offensive line is horrendous, but as I said earlier, it just needs to improve. They've got Michael Jordan, not the basketball player. They've got Trey Hopkins, Xavier S'ua-Filo, Bobby Hart, as well as the former first-round pick last year in Jonah WIlliams. I'm really intrigued by Jonah WIlliams just because out of college, he was an absolute beast. He got injured and did not play at all last season, so this is going to be his first year in the NFL playing pro football. I think playing at left tackle was a really good fit for him because, right, it gives Burrow a really solid guy. He played at Alabama, Jonah WIlliams. He knows that winning culture. He knows what it takes to get it done. And WIlliams just was a really good prospect coming out of college. So I think he can try and keep that up in the NFL. Burrow's going to have a nice time to work in the pocket, and that entire offense can just really take that next step. However, to take that next step, I think Zac Taylor is going to need to evolve into a better coach, right? Last year, there were some questions about his play calling abilities. Was he doing a really good job? Those are questions that we don't really know if they're answered. The thing is, Taylor's going to need to step up in year 2. He's got his weapons back in A.J. Green. He got T. Higgins in the draft. Joe Mixon's going to be as good as ever, as well as John Ross is healthy now. And, of course, he's got Joe Burrow. I mean, this guy's supposed to be an offensive guru. If he can't get that offense going, I doubt that he's the right player to lead this Bengals team in the future. So I think this is really a year for Zac Taylor. He's kind of on the hot seat, I feel like, a little bit. Maybe if they don't perform too well, he won't be fired this year, but maybe next year if that lack of success continues on. But I think if Zac Taylor can just make the right play calls, I think he's already doing a good job. Apparently, they've tried to incorporate some of Joe Burrow's favorite plays from LSU into the Bengals offense. That could be a really good help. Giving Joe Burrow something familiar to work with could be a really good idea. So I watch out for Zac Taylor. I think Zac Taylor paired with Burrow and Mixon, as well as A.J. Green stays healthy and that O-line can improve, I think this Bengals offense can be really solid. On paper, they look epic. Obviously, at times last year, not on paper, they stalled. They were not good most of the time. They struggled to score points. But I think with Burrow now instead of Andy Dalton, as well as A.J. Green back and John Ross healthy and T. Higgins, they have the weapons there in Cincinnati. And I think this could be a really good year for them. So watch out for the Cincinnati Bengals offense in 2020. Now that you've reached the end of my video, I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe as it helps my channel out. And check out my other videos on my channel. Also, you can follow my Instagram. The link is in the description down below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, see ya.